former vice chairman of the AFPRC, junta, that is Sana Sabali, was recommended to be granted amnesty, and the government decided to reject it at this stage.
Sorry, excuse me. From this way, we're starting and going. Sorry.
I already put my text up.
I started from this way. Mr. Singh? Mr. Singh?
Gentlemen, we agreed to be orderly. Just wait. Can you wait, please? You are not chairing the session. We agreed to be orderly. So you cannot just jump. Just give time. Your question will be asked. Can you look at me? We want this press conference to be orderly, please. Can you please? You cannot impose yourself. Wait to be given a turn. Please. Just wait for your turn. Your question will be asked.
Honorable Minister, Papsen, the Point newspaper and representative of Reuters, you already said that government has implemented all the recommendation of the TRRC. Yes. Now, what will be the fate of the former president Yahya Jammeh? Are you going to issue international warrant to be prosecuted or not?
What I can say for certain, the former president Yahya Jammeh will face justice. The modalities of how we go about this is being worked on. We are working on a prosecution strategy that will inform the processes of going about it. In any event, President Jammeh will face justice for the atrocities that he committed in this country.
Anybody come this way? Can you come
forward? Thank you very much. Mustafa Kedawa, please. I have two related questions, and maybe I could put them together. The first one is the recommendation about the burning of Usman, the director of SIS. Of course, this was rejected on the basis that the commission, it does not fall under the mandate of the commission, because this crime allegedly happened after 2017. But the other side of the fact is that the evidence that Usman was alleged to have tampered with bears on the substance of the cases investigated by the TRRC. It's like a legacy issue. I don't know what you think of that, whether you think that maybe the government erred in its judgment. And also the issue of Yankuba Sonko. I mean, the white paper claims there are two related. The issue of Yankuba Sonko, the former interior minister who was accused of tampering with evidence in relation to West African migrants' murder. It was rejected on the basis that some new evidence emerged, or that some new evidence was supplied by Yankuba or some other person. What is that evidence? Thank you.
Thank you very much. First, I do not think government erred in the issue of Usman. In our own classification, we do not classify that as a rejection, but it's subject to how you look at it. This is the director of SIS. He is recommended not to be prosecuted, but recommended to be banned from holding public office. The grounds for this recommendation is the alleged tampering of evidence at the NIA headquarters, sometime I believe in May 2017. We all know it's an open secret that the TRRC's mandate is from July 1994 to January 2017. So what happened in May 2017 falls outside of their mandate. So it was only premised on that. Of course, if these are issues that government will look into, that is a separate thing. So the position of government was only looking at what falls within TRRC mandate as we worked on the white paper. So because it fell outside of the mandate of the TRRC, it cannot properly form part of their recommendation. So that was it. With respect to Honorable Yankuba Sonko, we are in fact going probably to refer that matter very soon to an impartial, independent body to look into it. I'm not able to provide you new evidence at the moment, but the important thing is steps have been taken. Probably this might be the reason why you don't see him in the new cabinet, and then the issue will be looked into properly, and a decision will come out.
Yusuf Taylor for Gynaco News. My question is regards to the 150 million and the victims bill. What is your contingency plan? The bill will be tabled at the National Assembly, I believe. If it's not passed in time, so that that 150 million could be used this year, will your ministry, which is an implementing institution, ensure that that 150 is dispensed to the victims so that the reconciliation process would be smoother? And just to add to that, our counterparts, you talked about foreign relations, 54 West Africans, and I believe about 32 million also. There's not been much talk about that. I did ask you in a previous press conference, what is happening? Are they also being paid? Because that was being agreed to be paid between government to government, foreign affairs probably. Clarity, sir.
Thank you very much. I start from where you stopped. The foreign, the West African migrants reparation payment have not been effected yet. TRRC, as part of the interim reparations they were dispensing to payments on, did not pay to them. They did not pay anything to them. So it's for government. So those are some of the residual responsibilities government have taken over with respect to reparation. On your first question, the bill is at consultative stage at the moment. If consultation is completed, of course, we intend to table it. We are more or less halfway into the year now. Maybe the consultation that is going on will advise us what we can do in the event that the bill is not likely to make it through the National Assembly before the end of the year. What are we going to do with what has been budgeted? But I need to make clear that reparation and compensation, government have assumed full responsibility, and government is committed to paying compensation to the victims that is adequate. So whichever way, I understand if we say it locally, if somebody is hungry and you tell him to go wash your hands, it's difficult for the victims. We are very sensitive to their plights. But we want to make sure that whatever funds are earmarked for the victims' compensation is properly administered, and we don't want to play a role as a government. So we have had initial consultations with them, whether we can have interim arrangements of such monies, how it's going to be managed. We are yet to be very clear about if, in the absence of that impartial body that we intend to set up under the bill, before that is set up, can we have any other interim arrangement? Probably, I hope the consultations that are going on may come up with an idea. But at this point, not yet. The intention is to set up that body as quickly as we possibly can and pay such money into that fund and let it be managed by that body. Yeah.
Can you please confirm that you will ensure that the government ensures that that 150 million stays in this 2022, it's spent in 2022, so that it's another, probably, because there's still about 50 million or so left to pay. Even if that 150 is paid this year, there is still more that your government will make sure that money is dispensed this year, sir.
Let me make one point clear. There is nothing like arrears in compensation to the victims. That need to be very clear. Just to say that a 50 million or 100 million or a particular amount of million was promised at one point and it didn't come at that material moment, does it make it an area? Our intention is we are committed to paying reparation to them. We are even committed to have a complete re-evaluation of what is appropriate, even to those who may have received payment. So let us not treat the issue of reparation as if government is owing money. It's not owing. It's a commitment of government to adequately compensate victims. So the issue of arrears does not arise. Whenever these monies are available, it is an ongoing process and it will continue to be an ongoing. So I want to dispel that thinking to treat as government promised a particular amount a particular year, so the whole of that amount did not come, therefore the balance is an area. No, there is no issue of area here. Whatever amount is established to be due will be paid. How and when, these are issues that every government grapples with. What I can confirm for you is it is budgeted. I've been informed by the Ministry of Finance when the new budget was passed that such amount was earmarked for the victims. If it is ready to be made available to the victim, it will be made available. But there is no doubt that government, not only government, committed to work with partners to make sure that victims are adequately compensated. But it's an ongoing process. So issue of arrears doesn't arise.
Just to clarify that I didn't say arrears.
Yes, sir. I'm Alajim Bai, Gambia Radio and Television Services. My question is, we talk about the issue of those holding public positions and their mention adversely in the commission and their suspension issue. How soon do we expect this thing to happen? Because you've just talked about the processes and there is no how and when. So some of the victims will be eagerly waiting to see these people leave those public positions. How soon do we expect them? Is it May, June, or whatever?
We committed to implement that immediately. So notices will be sent to the institutions that they work, and we expect they will be put on immediate suspension from duty. But remember, one of the things that we all yearn for is rule of law. So we will have to look at the legal procedures of either whether some of them will have to be outrightly dismissed, terminated, or retired. But while we are going to look at those legal issues, we agreed as a government that they will immediately be suspended from work until those administrative steps are taken.
Okay. My name is Mohamed Mbai Garmi. I work from Gambia and TRRC TV, and then my question will be asked in local language. Jaajëf jëwriñ gu ñu dénk wàllu yoon ci réew mi maa ngi lay siyaare ndax xalaat ngeen ne ñu ëpp ci victimes yi dégguñu li nga xam ne mooy nasaraan te it téere bi ngeen tënk xaatim ko muy white paper bi ci nasaraan ngeen ko tënk ñu ci bari tey ñi ngi seetaan xëy na ñi ngi xool lan la white paper bi wax lan ak lan la war a def ndax teg ngeen ay jumtuwaay yi ngir mën koo yàggalee ñoom ci seeni làkk yu ñu dégg ngir ñu mën a jot xibaar bi xam lan ngeen tënk ci white paper boobule jërëjëf.
waaw dinañ ko xelaat bu dépense bi matee dinañ ko làppatoo si yeneen laaka boobu dafa soxla benn koom-koom waaye ñaareel foo nga am nit ñi nga xam ne dégg nañ laaka yi pour ñu mën a jël book bi pour ñu translate ko si local languages yi waaye loolu amuñ fi benn problème mun nañoo ut ndimbal pour def loolu. The question was, most of the victims don't speak English, and they probably don't understand what is contained in the white paper. And he was asking whether we have any plans to translate the white paper into local languages for some who could not read it in English. I say, of course, yes. It's something that we are not averse to. We can consider doing that, provided that we get support in terms of the cost. But also it is a translation into local languages requires expertise, people who are competent to do this translation. If they are available and the resources are available, we said that we were going to work on an effective communication strategy. And this communication strategy is something that can consider translating, if not the whole white paper as a volume, but to abridge it and summarize it in the local languages for those who can read only in local languages.
Okay, I'm Mahmoud from Paradise TV. I just have a simple one question. You mentioned that two judges that were allegedly considered called mercenary judges are to be exempted. And we saw a publication that two former justice ministers, two justice high court chief judges actually are to sue the government for a sum of $100 million for not giving them opportunity for fair hearing at the TRRC. Is it because of the 100 million they were exempted, or are they actually exempted because it's not right to call?
No. It has nothing to do with the suit. In fact, I believe as at the time we took this position not to accept that recommendation, the suit was not within our contemplation. We weren't even aware of it. If my office was aware, it was not at my level, because I remember even yesterday texting my Solicitor General when I saw that media report that two former Chief Justices have sued the Gambia. I texted the Solicitor General and asked, have we been served with this suit? And you are all aware, I think it was last week or a week before that Cabinet considered the white paper. So our position on that issue have nothing to do with the suit that they have filed. And be rest assured, we would meet them in the court, and we will adequately defend that position. So it has nothing to do with the suit. We've taken that position before I was even aware that these two individuals have filed a suit against the government of the Gambia.
Okay, good afternoon, Honorable Minister. I am Khadija Tujao with Malagan. So from the white paper, it indicated that some jungulars, including Malik Jata, could be given amnesty, depending on how useful they will be to the prosecution strategy. So my question is there any template that determines who will be given amnesty or not?
That position arises from the recommendation, amnesty recommendation of the TRRC itself. They've recommended a couple of jungulars, including Malik Jata that you mentioned, Omar Jallow, and I think another person, due to the cooperation that the TRRC recognized, their cooperation with the Commission, that they should be granted amnesty. So our position in the white paper is fine. We are not outrightly rejecting that recommendation, but we would want to explore possibilities of negotiating with these gentlemen because we believe they could be very useful to the prosecution that we are working on for people who bear the greatest responsibility of this atrocity. So it is a position that came out of the recommendations of the TRRC amnesty itself, committee itself.
Another question.
Yeah, my name is Alusise from Ganako. Regarding about the amnesty, if Sana Sabal has been rejected, what will be the fate of the former Vice President Asadou Ndiaye Sedi? And the other question is, has government decided on how to prosecute these people, either being used in our local court or international courts?
It shows you were not here when I read my statement, or if you were here, you were not listening. All your questions were answered in my statement, except for the specific mention of former Vice President, Her Excellency, Madam Aissatou Ndiaye Sedi. The Commission rejected her application for amnesty, and government did not differ with that position. The courts, if you get my statement, you will see how we intend to work with the courts, what setups we have.
My name is Fatou Samba. I work for the Gambian Talents Promotion or Gambian Talents TV. My question is, what challenges do you foresee in the implementation of the recommendation, and how do you hope to overcome these challenges?
The challenges are many. They are very, very many. However, the good thing is the political will is there. Government is committed. The rest is expertise is a challenge. Resources is a major challenge as well. How we intend to surmount some of these challenges is through partnership. We've enjoyed unprecedented support as a country from the beginning, since 2017. And we have no doubt that our partners will continue to stand by us, whether bilateral partners or multilateral partners. Once the resources are available, the political will is already available, the necessary expertise can be acquired. And the local expertise also can be enhanced. And with that, we can implement all the recommendations.
So, Honorable Minister, I want to know what is the timeline for setting up a prosecution office, a special prosecution office?
The timeline is yesterday. I want to do that as quickly as possible. We're just working on the modalities. The framework is being developed. Probably, if we are going to need a legislation, we are going to quickly work on that and then go through the legislative process. But we want to do it as quickly as possibly we can.
Thank you very much. Yusuf Taylor again for Gainako. So until now, there's no body that has been set up and TRRC has concluded. Is any implementation going to take place until the body is set up? What I want to know, is anything action going to happen in between now until this body is set up? Because victims have nowhere to go.
There is a lot that is being done. I don't know where you are looking at in terms of implementation. What I even said that some people will immediately be suspended is part of implementation. Legislative reform, the bill that is going through consultation, is part of implementation. And other administrative, the white paper is part of implementation. So it depends on what you call implementation. But a lot of activities are going to be happening. And setting up of that body is just one of many things that we need to be implementing. So it's a broad line of activities, and we are not waiting for anything. We are moving on immediately.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Minister. So in your speech, you mentioned grave sites will be you will find out some of these grave sites. I am Bana Sabal, I work for West Coast Radio, by the way. So how would you be able to do this? Because the TRRC, to some extent, can't locate some of these grave sites. Thank you.
If you go through the white paper, you will see that TRRC recommended, for example, to seek the cooperation of Solo Bojang, one of the, I think, junglers, or whatever the case may be, former military officer, who is believed to be of material importance in this regard. However, we also counting on some support from some organizations that have got tremendous experience in this regard, and the search will be launched once we are ready. So TRRC did what they could do within the limited time that they had and the resources that they had to locate some of these burial sites. Some they could not reach, but witnesses have indicated to them where those places can be. So we have got some leads. Now it's a matter of having the required expertise and resources to follow those leads and see whether we can find something. It's an exercise that we have to undertake, and we will embark on that. It's a priority. Like I said, these families, the minimum they deserve is to bring a closure to their trauma and identifying where their loved ones have been buried and recovering them and returning it to them for a dignified burial is the minimum the state can do for them. And we are committed to doing that.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, I am Mode S. Diouf, a correspondent for Bloomberg News in the Gambia. I would want to know whether we know how many people may be affected if you decide to go ahead on dismissing or suspending or taking into voluntary retirement perpetrators advancedly mentioned. The other question is, you said you would set up a special court. I want to know if you would seek to extradite Yahya Jammeh to the Gambia to be tried.
The statistics with respect to those who are affected with the ban from holding public office, your question will make me call some of my staff. I told them to give me the statistics, but it's not available to me. So no, I don't have it on top of my head. We will compute that immediately. And in fact, it should be available somewhere. It was just not handed to me before this press conference because I specifically asked for it. But no, on top of my head, I don't know how many in terms of number. But we know them because they have all been specifically named in the report. So we know them and we know the institutions where they work, and their institutions will be notified immediately for action. Extradition or no extradition, President Jammeh will face justice. The modalities are going to be contained on a prosecution strategy that is in a very advanced stage. The consultancy working on the prosecution strategy is due to submit their report end of this month. So that strategy will rely on and other consultations that are taking place to determine how, probably and where, will Jammeh face justice. But without doubt, he will face justice.
Yeah, I was going to ask something. Because I was reading the white paper and some key people were actually mentioned by their names. I noticed Solbaji was not mentioned, even though he was on the West African migrants. I checked on the West African, maybe I missed it. Okay, all right, maybe. About the courts, of course you said you were going to set up a court that is going to have both a local court that is going to have an international expert and a local expert. Considering the amount of resources this is going to require, has there been any partner that you had reached out to in terms of funding these activities? Of course, we also know that with regards to disappearances, there are still a number of outstanding cases that have not been dealt with by the TRRC. In fact, I'm not sure we know who killed Chief Mane. What is the government going to do with this kind of cases, the remnants that TRRC is passing?
That is why I said the Special Prosecution Division I will be setting will have investigative powers. So it will be a prosecution office that will also have well-experienced investigators attached to that division. So they will carry out further investigations in matters like that. Because not only Chief Mane's case that you mentioned, there are our preliminary assessment of the material evidence we received from the TRRC is completely clear to us that some of the material evidence we receive need further work, a lot more work. Some of them are not sufficient in terms of quality and quantity to prove the offenses before a court of law. I think we must all understand that it was an inquiry, it was not a court. So the standard by which they receive this evidence is completely different from the standard by which you need to tender this evidence in court of law. So this is going to be the function of the special prosecutor to open a case file against each individual. For each count, an individual has been recommended to be prosecuted, and then study the material that is already received from the TRRC and reach a determination whether we have got sufficient evidence to sustain those charges in court. If the answer is no, that is why the additional mandate is given to him to be able to investigate on his own without necessarily having to depend on our current law enforcement investigators. He could have his own investigation department that will be answerable to him as a prosecutor. Then they can investigate matters because they would know the gaps that they need to be filled up quickly. And then when they get the answers and they determine they are ready to proceed to court, they will proceed to court. So yes, there will be further investigations. We are quite aware of the fact that TRRC, even for matters that they have already started, some of them, they have not got all that we would require to proceed to court. But there are some issues that they did not even touch or touched in detail, and this will be the responsibility of this office.
Yes, Honorable Minister, equally the case of Bailo, we understand that he is already currently facing a trial in Germany. And with this new court that you will be setting up, are we going to see Bailo being brought back to the country and prosecuted, or is going to be done in a hybrid manner? How would this work?
Thank you. No, Bailo is being prosecuted under universal jurisdictions invoked by Federal Republic of Germany. So we are cooperating with the German authorities under what we call mutual legal assistance. We will support that trial, but we have no interest in discontinuing that trial. That trial will proceed to its logical conclusion. But the flip side of your question would be whether the outcome of such trial will have any bearing on our position in Bailo being recommended to be tried if he is. Of course, yes. Our current position is those that are being prosecuted under universal jurisdiction in foreign countries, and it's not only Bailo, Usman Sonko in Switzerland, Michael Correa in the United States of America, irrespective of the outcomes of those trials, they don't actually they don't enjoy automatical exoneration from trial in the Gambia. So that needs to be made clear. But we will allow those processes to conclude because they may be trying them for something and we might be wanting to try them for something different in the Gambia. So it is not a question of whether that trial will substitute for their possible trial in the Gambia, no. But we are not going to discontinue that. In fact, German authorities initiated that trial on their own discretion. So they will continue. And depending on the outcome of that case, we reserve our right as a sovereign country to deal with that issue separately in our own way. Okay, very unusual for a press conference. Okay, it looks like we don't have further questions. Maybe you are yet to digest the report. So when you digest it properly, maybe we'll have another round of this press conference. Yes, now we can extend it to non-media. If there's any non-media who wants to say something, ask a question or... Okay.
We have Her Excellency the Ex-Vice President.
Excellencies, it's not a question. As they say in Wolof, magbah na ci Kerr. Today, our responsibility as elders is to call on peace, to first of all congratulate the government of the Gambia under the leadership of His Excellency President Adama Barrow, to congratulate you, Honorable Minister of Justice and Attorney General with your team, to also congratulate the TRRC that has done wonderful work in this country. I say I congratulate you because the difficult part was not the TRRC. I think the most challenging part is to implement the recommendations of the TRRC. Everybody was expecting, and I think today our expectations have really been fulfilled, and we need to sincerely thank all the apparatus that were involved in this process. My second call is that now we need patience. We have been patient enough for 22 years. We never knew what was happening. We only guessed. We never knew what happened was things that were atrocities that were committed by our own brothers and sisters or whatever brothers. And today we have known the facts. After knowing the facts, we need to be patient for the implementation of the program. I like the way you have highlighted. You have given us substantive information in terms of the processes, the modalities of implementation. As a development practitioner, Rome was not built in a day, and there is no way we can expect you, your ministry, or the government to implement these recommendations in a day, or in a year, or 5 years. We need to be patient as citizens to know that we need to look for the resources. We need to look at the global economy, the impact, particularly the war in Ukraine is affecting. It's a global crisis that is trickling down to African economies. Already, we know the impact of COVID. It has affected the economy, the social strata, and even the people, particularly vulnerable groups. So we really need to be patient and know that mobilizing resources, the people who give us money are looking for monies, not to say we who don't have it. So we need to be patient, and we need to also respect our context. Today, the context is peace and reconciliation. It's an onus on every one of us to be patient, to support the process, and to know that Rome was not built in a day, and that government is doing all that it can. And it takes everybody responsible, including myself, to advocate for partners to bring more resources so that we can fully implement the cause of justice. Gambia is peaceful, and we must hold on to the peace. Our name as a smiling coast was built by the 4 founding fathers. It's built on peace, and we must be peace. And I'm calling particularly the young people. We can be patient, but young people of today are not patient. They want everything tay. There is no nation that is going to be built on tay. We have to be patient, and we have to love each other. We have to unite. When we united for the same cause, God brought change for us. If we continue that unity of purpose, we will continue to have progress and advancement in our country, and that will trickle down to the sub-region. I apologize for coming late. I'm traveling from Madrid. I slept on the flight, and my luggage is in the car, but I thought it's a responsibility for me to come, not to disrespect you for coming late, but to explain to you the unique circumstances that made me to be late. I make myself as mother of the nation. I stand for peace, and I want everybody to embrace peace and to support the cause of justice through your leadership. I pray to God, and I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to continue to give us that peace, that God guides our government in the right path. We have said never again, and we will all stand up as a people to see that never again should Gambia and Gambians go through these atrocities in the history of our country. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Thank you very much, and thank you very much. There is nothing more than thanking you. Thank you.
The final question from the president of the GPU. Save the best for last.
Actually, probably it's just a request from the ministry, my uncle. It's like the revival of your frequent press briefings. This is a concern. I think when you were doing it, it was so good. Looking at the task ahead, it is so important for the ministry to really engage the media to ensure that there is transparency, accountability, and as well the public to also have that understanding of the process itself. So that's a request. Please kindly, engage into those things. Thank you.
You putting your uncle on the spot. Well, yes, we're working on an effective communication strategy. You will not be left behind in this. I directed that communication strategy, in as much as we want the press to take a lead, I want the victims also to take a lead in the outreach activities. The ministry will continue to reach out to the press. Yes, when I took over the ministry, I know the ministry was known for frequent press conferences. I have not been doing it. The press has always been my friend. But I'll be working behind the scene. When it is necessary for me to come out and talk, I will definitely talk. But the ministry is reachable at any time. Any one of you wants information from the ministry, feel free to contact us. We want to be as transparent as we possibly can. And together we can get there. Thank you very much. Since this was the show for the press, I take this singular opportunity once again to thank you, the press, for turning out in your large numbers. And we hope to work with you as we go through the implementation of the recommendations of the Commission. Thank you very much for turning out.
Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, takaful fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151 or visit Yona head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.
Brother Kendall, how do you solar lampol make it slow? Kenda Manila for solar enterprise. For the Mungul and Yimbanko can get them to it.
Sumanu Baro, Unjurunko, Ikonga Faleko, Namu Badabanta, Bila Blazola, and Yagambia Vino, Amira Solar Enter, Nasola Enterprise. Solar Nimbatri Kendo, Kuran, Deda Sala, Aboros in Enamo. Kajisa na odila Amira sola enter Na sola enter Na sola enterprise Jaliwo Sola kende soto Jali manfo fenna O sola kende soto Na enterprise Sumanu Baro Kunjurunko
Hello! There's a new update from your favorite GSM operator, africell.
For all of you that have struggled to buy cash power beyond $7,000, africell has done it again. The limit to buy cash power is now up to $30,000. Oh yes, $30,000.
Buy all the cash power you want from your AfriMoney account by dialing *777#.
Where africell goes, nobody dares to follow.
It's an amazing offer. AfriCell mobile money just got way better. The threshold for cash in and cash out on your AfriMoney has been increased.
Where it used to